Welcome back to the Time for Heroes podcast.
On the podcast this time out, I have Dave McCabe, frontman of the Zutons. 4 top 10 albums in the bag, even featured on a Christmas #1 as well.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to touch on all of that, plus what Dave's up to now. But what I like to do at the start, Dave, is get back to the start. What was life like for a young Dave McCabe growing up?
Weird, because I'm in my mum's now. My little son's downstairs. But it was good, mate. There wasn't many people around here in this little village that I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
And there certainly wasn't people that were into, like, guitars and stuff like that. I mean, there was enough for me to learn a couple of chords, E, A, D, G, C type of thing. I mean, I don't know if there is many other chords, really. But there was enough of that. And then I used to get on my bike and I used to go to surrounding areas because there was just more people there. And I think there was about 5 girls in the whole of this village around my age. And, you know, it was, there was just loads of lads. So it was just like, it was hard work in some respects, because I think you had to get out of here towards other areas just to know what to say to people, you know what I mean? Just to know how to be around, like, certain people, because it's very local, because it's kind of on the edge of Liverpool. It's older than Liverpool.
Whereabouts is that?
In Knowsley Village, it is.
Right.
But it's kind of, it's in the Doomsday Book and all that. It's an ancient place, but I think it's good if you're learning the guitar or for creativity, because you just stay in or you just go out when it's sunny with your guitar or whatever it is you're doing, and you just carry on doing it outside. It's not like there's not many distractions. And there's a place next to it called Lord Derby's estate.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to jump over the wall to get in there. And it's kind of like, once you're in, if you got caught, they used to drop you off miles away from here because they knew you were from here. So it was always fun jumping over and not getting caught again and having to go back, but having to be really quiet. It was kind of like you were on, you know, a Platoon mission or something, like, in our heads. Because all them films were out at the time, Platoon, Full Metal Jacket, and we were just like walking, you know, ducking down, pretending we were in the army, basically. That was our army training.
So, like, touching on the guitar then, like, when you were learning the guitar and your early influences, am I right in saying you were into, like, heavy metal?
Yeah, I was into Pantera, Metallica, Sepultura. I went to see Sepultura. Guns N' Roses, they're like heavy rock, I suppose, and then Nirvana came out. And then Oasis came out, do you know what I mean? So a lot was going on at that time. And then not long after, I was into Sonic Youth and Mudhoney, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains. And then I got into Oasis. But as I was getting into Oasis, really, I got into the Beatles. So I didn't get into the whole Britpop thing, just Oasis, really, and Blair. And then I kind of got into the Beatles, the Kinks, the Stones, Velvet Underground. Just all that, you know, there's a lot going on at one point. Neil Young, do you know what I mean? A lot came into play in the mid-90s, really. And then Radiohead came out. And Beck was out, because Beck's was always one of my favourites back then, because he was just dead daft. I think Loser, Mellow Gold, and Older Layer. There's a lot of humour in that movie.
Yeah.
I was that into the Beastie Boys at the time. That came later. I knew the Beastie Boys, but I seen the Beastie Boys as being my older brother's band. Because I had 2 older brothers, so the Beastie Boys had been out for us. I was like, and I hadn't really heard the Beastie Boys. When I thought about the Beastie Boys, it was always the first album. Even though Check Your Head and all that was coming out, this is what I'm saying about this place, Knowsley, it's quite disconnected. So you didn't really get into everything. You just got into bits of stuff, do you know what I mean? But that's kind of what was cool about it. Because later on in life, you know, you discover more bands. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, Radiohead.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
So I mean, once you describe it like that, it's quite a melting pot, isn't it? Like kind of 60s Britpop, heavy metal, and then Beastie
Rage
Boys,
Against
a
the
bit of
Machine
rap
as
and all
well. Yeah, there was bands like Rage Against the Machine was mixing rap with heavy metal, so there was a lot going on. My brother said I started walking differently when I listened to Rage Against the Machine. Said I started walking down the street differently, like. I always remember him riffing me about it. But I think he was a bit gutted, Phil, because he was a raver, and I think he secretly loved all the music and was jealous of the music I liked, because I wasn't into, you know, ecstasy at that age. That came later, but the rave didn't. Do you know what I mean? So it was kind of like all that stuff was. It was a good time, man. It was a really good time to be alive, and there was a lot going on. I feel lucky. Do you know what I mean? I grew up. Born in 81, I grew up in the 80s with all that, with my older brother Chris. And so I had all that. The first love of me was like Depeche Mode and Kraftwerk and Yazoo and all that. You know, even Yaz, that is a band that again. But
yeah.
The Only Way Is Up wasn't yet. I haven't delved that far, but Yazoo and stuff like that. So as I've got older, I can look back and it's like, I'm lucky to have them people around me. It was more my two brothers, really, and people at my age and their older brothers. My mum and dad.
I think, see, if you're the youngest, I think you're lucky, because I was the same. I had a big sister that was into all the good music, so I got a lot of influences through her. So
yeah,
I think being the younger one, you do kind of take on everybody else's stuff and then build up your own.
Yeah, you get ripped for it as well, though, because, you know, there's Human League, and then there's coming in and blasting Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. It was a bit like, what's this? Do you know what I mean?
That's it. I can mind my big sister dressed me up for the Halloween play school nursery Halloween party as Boy George. And I'm still getting back for that now.
Yeah. Sound, innit? I think it's an easy one, Boy George. Well, do you know what? This is the thing, isn't it? How would you dress up as Dave McCabe? You just kind of, you did, at least with Boy George, you've got to make the effort. You've got to, there's character there. I need to work on my character, I think.
Oh, well, you wear some decent Adidas clobber, so.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about it. Yeah, I forgot that. I'll take that.
So, first steps into music, or maybe before that, maybe like a question before that. If you weren't involved in music, what would you be doing?
Probably signing on.
Right.
Or working in factories. I had about 6 factory jobs. And I used to do, I used to sign on, and I used to do like labour work with my dad at the same time for a little bit. That was a golden era. But obviously, I wanted to do music. I mean, I'm just admitting to something there. Maybe take that out. I don't know. But no, I used to work in factories quite a bit. So, to be honest, the factories were so grim in Kirby Industrial Estate that it was good to have them grim jobs, because it made you really, really not want to go back there, no matter what. And it made you realise every time you played the guitar or you were creative, that's where the real passion was. And I feel good that I've got a passion like that, because I think a lot of people in life, they don't know what the passion is. And still to this age, you know, they struggle. Do you know what I mean? They don't really know. They don't fit in. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of and I feel sorry for people like that. And, you know, I don't think anyone feels like they fit in completely ever in life, but it's kind of like, at least if you do something that makes you feel good, then it makes you feel good, type of thing.
Totally. I mean, that's how, like, I've always been into my music and never been able to play an instrument in my life. I was never going to be in a band. Although that's what I loved was the band scene, right?
Yeah.
Pop right through like the indie stuff. But there was no chance of me doing any music until obviously I done this podcast and kind of you find a niche, you find somewhere where you fit in, and
Yeah.
that's like my thing. So
Cool.
like your first steps into music, obviously I'll get Tramp Attack, but was there anything before that?
Yeah, there was a band called Ace Minor,
Right.
and I kind of joined them when I was 17. They were all they were like 20, 21. And they sounded like the Verve
Mm-hmm.
a bit, and then they sounded a bit like Gomez. And then I joined, and it was kind of like, they sounded a bit like Radiohead, Gomez, and the Verve. But it was kind of like everyone wanted to be in a band, but we were finding our feet. Do you know what I mean? And I met Tramp Attack, and I left because I felt like I'd gone as far as I could go, or and I felt like they were getting jobs and life was creeping up on them. Do you know what I mean? So the rehearsals would kind of like any band. You know what I mean? It's like when people have got to work,
Yeah.
they're not always up for. They haven't always, especially at this age, like they haven't got the energy to be turning up to play loud music in the night. It's kind of like, do you know what? I need to go home and rest to make some money tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of just met loads of other people who were fellow Dolites.
Mm-hmm.
Some had just some jobs sometimes, but a bit like myself. But I think, I mean, it's going back to your question. If it wasn't in a band, I'd probably be selling weed or something like that. It wouldn't be.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a very nice place. I don't think. I just think it would have been trouble for me, to be honest. It would have just escalated into fucking jail or something like that. I don't know. Got caught up in the wrong gang. Because, people want to make money fast. And that's fair enough, isn't it? At that age. That's just how it is. That's how life is. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So, like, obviously then meeting Tramp Attack, joining them.
Yeah.
Couple of singles in 2001, one that you co-wrote and then one that you wrote as well, Broken Man.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously in that band, you were in the band with Christian Neely, who was in Brookside and Hollyoaks. He passed away, didn't he?
He did, yeah. God bless him.
Yeah. So what was the script with Tramp Attack? Obviously because it didn't last long and then the Zutons appeared.
Well, I met a lad called James Redmond, or Jay Redmo, as he's known, and he was the bass player. But I met him in the Crazy House, and he turned around and said, "Do you want to come?" He said, "Do you want to come to ours later?" So after the Crazy House, we went back to his, and we just listened to records and have a laugh. And he was like me. He was a bit odd, bit of a loner, and we kind of played some guitar, and he was like, "Wow, yeah, you're good." He said, "Do you want to come and play with this band?" And I said, "Who's in the band?" And he said, Matt Barton and Chris Healy. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I know them. I've kind of met them a few times. I don't know them, but I've met them." So then through hanging around with Jay a bit, that's how I got in with Tramp Attack, really. And then I met Ian, the drummer, Ian Lane. But yeah, and it was great being in Tramp Attack. I learned a lot about songwriting from Matt Barton and from Jay. And I learned a bit about singing from Christian and how you should project it, and how, he was a good frontman, even though he was an actor. The pain in the arse was he was an actor, to be honest. We were all like, I wish he were an actor, a successful one, because that's when you got called Matt Musgrove. But I got called a sidekick. What was his name? Anyway.
Pinhead.
No. No, I never got called nothing. I wish. Bosco. That's what I used to get called. Bosco, yeah. But no, we done our thing in Tramp Attack because it was going. We had fire when we played. We had a bit of fire about us, and we won this battle of the bands in the Royal Court. The Coral were in it as well, and other bands were in it as well. And then right at the end, there was a Radiohead covers band who were doing it. They hosted it all, and it was so they could play the Royal Court. I think they wanted to expand their thing as a Radiohead covers band. And right at the end, when a fella announced that we'd won it, one of their band, because they got the set cut short, so they weren't happy about it. So one of them turned around and went, "It's a fix." And it was like, because Christine was on the telly, everyone was turning around and going, "Fucking sold ya," and pointing at us and that. And there was just fucking murder at the end when we won it. But I can't remember what happened after. Like, we kind of, it's like what all bands do. You have a moment where it's good and then you fall out. And then you kind of don't talk for a bit and then you become mates again. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of what happens, isn't it? But that's what happened there. And it was through them, getting on to your next question, how I met the Zutons, really. How I met Sean, Russ, Boyan. But Boyan was kind of in Tramp Attack, but wasn't. He used to turn up and I used to play with Boyan first, and he was kind of we just used to sit round, smoking weed, playing guitar and for hours on end. And it was just a natural choice. Because I said, I don't want to do it no more. I said, why don't you try Boyan in your band? But they never did. I don't know why. And I was made up that they never. Do you know what I mean? Because secretly I wanted Boyan to be in our band. And then he was. Yeah.
So, obviously, once the Zutons formed, obviously you touched on like that battle of the bands and like the choral were in that as well. So like that scene run about then, like when the Zutons kind of emerged onto the scene, you had the bandwagon that the bandits run. So you had yourselves, the choral. Were the Dead 60s involved in that as well?
No, they came later.
They came later.
They came about 2 years later. They were in a band called Smile. And they had a different singer called Joel. And they were like, they kind of done really well, Smile. They were always tipped to be, you know, the next thing coming out of Liverpool, but it just never quite happened for them. I don't know why, but it never did. And Matt wasn't in them, the singer of the Dead 60s. It was a lad called Joel. But yeah, that never did. That never happened, like.
But so like that scene then, what was it like being like involved in that? Were all the bands pretty supportive of one another? You're quite pals with the choral, aren't you?
Yeah, I think all the bands were quite supportive of each other. But, you know, Liverpool being the way it was, there was loads of other bands and they weren't very supportive. And that's kind of part of the crack, innit? Toes versus the world mentality, like. And that's kind of looking back at the time, I just thought people were being wankers. But looking back, it was a blessing, really. Because if no one was asked and no one was being horrible to you, you're doing something wrong, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? If someone's not coming up to you and going, "Your fucking band's shit," it's like, oh, fucking else, we need to be more, we need to get on people's tits a bit here and be better. Do you know what I mean? But I remember there was a lot of that. But there was never any of that from the choral because they were already out there doing it. The bandits, that kind of melted away pretty quick. They got a deal and then it all fell apart. I mean, this happens a lot, doesn't it? Let's face it. Who else? The Holcomb Clones. They were going. Yeah. So, and then Tramp Attack, I think, is still going sometimes. They still do the odd gig. And if they do a gig, you know, it does well in town. Do you know what I mean? They'll sell a few tickets, a few hundred tickets. So that's good. That's where that's got them. And I think they've done 2 or 3 albums. But at the time, Liverpool was just a better place. I was younger, so everything was better, wasn't it? But I think Liverpool was just, there was a lot going on. There's like people spoke to each other more. It's like you were out all the time. You weren't out getting like necessarily out to get swatted on the aisle and take loads of drugs. It was just out to be out and out to socialise and like meet people. Do you know what I mean?
At that time as well, obviously you're talking at the start of the noughties. And like, music was on its arse for a bit. And then obviously you did like the Libertines, the Strokes and all that kind of kick-started it. So it was probably the right time as well for young musicians like yourself.
I would say the Strokes kick-started it. I'd say single-handedly they started a lot of things up. And I wasn't even I'm a bigger Strokes fan now than I was at the time. Because, you know, naturally you go against the grain. Like, if the enemy are telling you someone's going to be your favourite band, it's kind of like, well, no, they're not. Do you know what I mean? That's just like, as, you know, that's the little shit inside you. But it's also the rebellion inside you, which is important. But I'd say the Strokes single-handedly done a lot, done all kinds. Because when they got on the radio with Last Night, I just remember all of a sudden there was a lot of bands, do you know what I mean, on the radio straight after that. I could go into so many names and so many things, but like I don't reckon we'd have got on the radio if it weren't for the Strokes, and I'm not saying that we're connected in any way with the Strokes, but it opened up the doors.
It's that guitar band, did it? Because it was all kind of acoustic driven stuff before that. It was either Travis, Coldplay, stuff like that, or Limp Bizkit, a lot of American stuff at that time. Then all of a sudden you had all these bands just appearing up and down the country.
Well, around that time, it was kind of like the music I was getting into was just more and more old music. Lee Dorsey, James Brown. There was a lot of the popular music wasn't really my thing at that time, and all bands like Radiohead and Beck, you know, they'd kind of had the day, or you know the way bands have they have a day, then they go away for a bit, then they come back and they have a new day. Or so not all of them do, but some of them do. Do you know what I mean? Like Radiohead was I think they were in a Kid A amnesiac phase. So I wasn't 1,000,000% behind all that stuff because I was just getting so much into like old funk records and old folk stuff and just everything. I was just like a sponge at that point for like Sly and the Family Stone and things like that. Just like happy music that you kind of was 1,000,000 miles away from Knowsley Village. Do you know what I mean? I don't think Radiohead in my head was 1,000,000 miles away from where I'm from at that point. So the more extravagant or the more of a different time music felt, that's what you ended up listening to get away from reality, really. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
So obviously the Coral signed to Delta Sonic Records, and then you followed after them. So how did that come about? Was that a recommendation for the Coral?
I think, Jay Skelly gave a demo tape of mine to Alan, and at that point it was just me. I think it was one song, Moons and Horror Shows, the last song on Who Killed the Zutons, and it was me playing pots and pans, acoustic guitar and singing, and just like me playing everything really, and Alan really liked it, and that's kind of where that came from. And I've got to say at this point, the Beta Band as well. Well, if you heard that original song, the Moons and Horror Show, it was very Beta Band because of all the percussion and the DIY attitude of it. Do you know what I mean? There was also another song that was it's not on any Zutons stuff. It was just like circus kind of music, and it was all like Smile type music. I think, you know, like Smile, the Beach Boys. It was kind of like that. It was like a wacky number, like an instrumental, no singing, and that was good. But that's what got Alan involved, and then obviously I got Boyan involved.
So the original lineup was yourself, Boyan, Russell Pritchard, and Sean Payne. So when did Abby come on board? Because obviously Abby was Sean's girlfriend, wasn't she?
Yeah, but she was what? She comes to the studio on the second session I think we ever done, and she put some saxophone down on a song. I think it was 6 Foot Man, and then she came up to one gig in Edinburgh, and she played live with us. And she played live with us in the rehearsal room, and I remember just thinking, like, it felt right. Do you know what I mean? Having this extra instrument there and having this girl with us, like, it just felt right. It kind of set us apart, because at that point...
Well, that's what I was going to get on to, because it does make you stand out, because there's no many females in bands at that point. Certainly no in like a
No, it was
male
all
band.
yeah, it was all fucking lads with leather jackets on.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And then even more rare is a saxophone. So
Yeah,
to have both of that kind of it does make you stand out straight away.
yeah. I think it's I don't think it would have went anywhere without that. If I'm honest, like I don't think. I think all these things like that happened and Abby joining, and then Alan turned around to me once and he said, you know, we were writing crazy music over and over, and we got Zuton Fever out of it.
Mm-hmm.
We got it with Railroad, but all the other songs we had were fucking nuts. Like we had Don't Ever Think Too Much, but it like speeded up and slowed down. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't the song that you know now. It was like, in fact, it was another song with just the it like speeded up like that in the song. So yeah, we were pretty wacky. And Alan turned around to me, Alan Wills, who ran the label. He said, you know, if you want me to drop you, you're fucking going the right way about it. He had a word. He said, when I see you playing songs like Beatles songs or Neil Young songs or Nirvana songs, he said, that's you. He said, that's like, you know, or Railroad, you know what I mean? He said, when you're writing these songs or playing them, he said, why don't you write some songs just like songs? So then I went away and I wrote Remember Me. I wrote Rumblin' Ramblin', and I wrote like these kind of country-based, more Scouse, I suppose, sounding songs. But they was all natural, and it just came naturally to me, so I just done that. So then we had this, so we had the Zuton Fever side, we had Railroad, and then we had Remember Me, and we had Confusion. We had these other songs then. So we had this like acoustic side, and then fast forward to when we're doing the record, we'd done all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of turned around and was like, well, we need something else. So around that point, Pressure Point turned up, You Will, You Won't, Dirty Dancehall turned up. And yeah, I just think like we started being more and more, finding more and more what it is we were about as a band. Do you know what I mean? And we grew up in public, really, in that sense. It was like we constantly got compared to the Coral. And I can see why, to be honest. There's no when I sing in a certain way, it sounds like Jay's voice. Do you know what I mean? And me and Jay used to play together and do gigs in Liverpool. We'd done about 4 or 5 gigs. And we used to sing together. And like, it was always just how I sang, and it was always how we sang. And we were kind of like, you know, we were good mates.
Yeah.
At that point. It's not that we're not good mates now, we're just old fellas now, aren't we? With kids and that. So it's like, no, well, no, not saying he's old. I'm an old fucking fella, I'll see that. But what I'll say is that anyway, getting back to what the fuck I was on about. So, yeah, it set us apart. And then, next thing you know, so we had like all these different sides to the band, but on one record. So it was kind of like a 3 or 4 EPs stuck on your one album, if you know what I mean. And I think that's why that album is what it is. And it was probably the best album we done, because...
It reminds me, it sounds like the Wild West. That's one of the vibes I get for it.
Right, okay. That's good. That's just like, yeah, I think, you know, a lot was going on. And we were just throwing the kitchen sink at a lot of stuff. Then when the saxophone came in, it was like, oh yeah, we've got this new move now. And then we started throwing that at it, seeing what worked, what didn't. Also with harmonies, we never really sang in harmony dead early on. And then we started doing loads of harmonies. And it's, you know, Russ, Sean and Abby were really good at harmonies, do you know what I mean? And I was just the lead singer. I'm still shite at harmonies, to be honest. But that's how that happened.
And the producer on that album as well was Ian Brodie.
Yeah.
Well, what was it like working with him? Because obviously you've worked with him on your latest album as well. So
he's one of the best. I'd say he's the best producer I've worked with, but only because, you know, he's a mad fella, Ian, in his own way. where it's like, he's really, if you piss him off, which is hard to do, especially in a producer environment, but he lets you know in the best possible way. He doesn't turn around to you and just be off with you. He'll explain thoroughly what you're saying. You're not as doing his heading, but why you're doing your own heading. Do you know what I mean? He'll explain to you, you're doing your own heading here. You need to let this thing go, because that is not what this song is. You know, a lot of bands, especially when you're young, you go in and you're like, I want to be like the fucking Rolling Stones. And it's like, well, you're not fucking Mick Jagger, are you? So instantly you need to get over that thing. Well, when I say that thing, you need to get over yourself. And once you get over yourself, get under yourself and go back up your ass, I think you start to find yourself once you're in your own organs again. Because I think, you know, it's like, I want to sound like John Bonham. Now, loads of drummers have say this, do you know what I mean? But you're not a bricklayer from Birmingham, so you're not going to sound like that. Do you know what I mean? Sean never said that. I'm not I'm not quoting Sean. Mm-hmm. But other drummers have said that, and it's kind of like, you know, so what's good about Ian is he brings you out of yourself. He lets, without you realising it, he lets you think his ideas are yours as well. He's got this fucking magic power. Where, like, you'll go, yeah, that's a really good idea. And he'll go, do you want to do that? Yeah. And then a couple of weeks later, because he even done it on the last record, and you're like, that was his idea, that. It's like, but he made me think it was mine. He made me think I owned it. It's ego shit, isn't it? It's just how it is. That's how it goes.
So, obviously, at the start, when I introduced you, I said, obviously, 4 top 10 albums. So, like, this album went to number 6. Was chart success, was that a thing for you? Was that something that you bothered about, or was it something that the label kind of put pressure on you?
You mean for the last record?
No, for the initial one. Like, see, when you started it, were you chasing chart success, or was it?
Everyone's chasing it, because when you're on a major label and they're putting millions of fucking pounds into you, you want to be getting in the top 10 at least, because if you don't, you're getting dropped, and there's your money gone. So if you've got a major deal with Sony, and you've just sold however 600,000 records, and your second album doesn't even go in the top 10, you're fucked, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Sorry to swear, but you are. But you are, so you've got to make the top 10. The last record was different because it was a comeback record. And, you know, I was still happy to go in the top 10. It's a nice thing to say for top 10 albums, but it was like, it was our label, wasn't it? It was our own label. It was our money. It was my money. It was their money. Do you know what I mean? It was like, I know what's gone into this. Mm-hmm. So there isn't like posters everywhere. There isn't the highly anticipated second album by the Zutons. Do you know what I mean? It was 16 years. Everyone's kind. So you've just got, it's whether your diehard fans are going to buy enough. So also, these days, I don't think anyone really buys records. So it's not a crime to not chart in the top 10 or to chart anywhere. It can be like a growing thing, can't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's changed. So I think, but back in the day, everyone was asked. People say they weren't. If anyone who says they weren't asked is lying. Because if you don't get in the top 10, you're fucked, you're getting dropped. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's how it goes.
So going for a number 6 album, and then the next album got to number 2. Obviously, on that album, you've got Valerie on it.
Yeah.
Produced with Stephen Street, who produced...
Yeah, and he was a great producer as well, by the way.
Blur in the Smiths, didn't he? So...
He's what?
He produced Blur, didn't he? And he produced for the Smiths as well.
Yeah, and Morrissey. And I think he's done Baby Shambles as well. I think he even played with Baby Shambles for a bit.
That's right, on that. Or he done the solo record anyway. With,
do you know what was good about him? He got stuff done really quick, really methodical, really like, by the end of the day, or we recorded every in 2 weeks. By the time a month had passed, he'd nailed everything. Do you know what I mean? And Brody worked fast, but Brody was working with a different band because we didn't have all the songs, we didn't have all the right moves, and we kept on going away and writing more songs and coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Stephen Street, we had all the songs ready to go, and he just blitzed it. And he was just so like, it was like he was home by 9 o'clock every night in his bed. Do you know what I mean? It was like in the morning, sorted. It was very like a job to him. And some people don't like that. Do you know what I mean? Some people don't like working like that because they don't get the best. But I think for that record, we weren't really searching for something. We already had it. Do you know what I mean? We've been touring loads around the world. We had a few singles ready to go. We had Valerie, Why Won't You Give Me Your Love? Do you know what I mean? So it was all like, we had loads of songs. So that was an easy experience, if you know what I mean.
Just before I came on, I was watching your Glastonbury set for 2005. I was watching that on YouTube, and you think all the songs that you've got then, and then for the second album coming out with the bangers that are coming on that.
It's mad, isn't it?
Obviously, when you talk about Valerie, and it's talked about so much, so I'll not kind of stick on it too much. But
go ahead, mate.
What does that song mean to you now? Because obviously it's such a journey.
What that song means to me now, I'm so grateful to have wrote that song, because even I'm like shocked at how fucking big that song is. Do you know what I mean? Amy Winehouse covered it, and because we had it out in 2006, she done it in 2 years later, which is not that long, really. If you think about it, it's normally like a decade before you can put your song out again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So she done it 2 years later, and it was even bigger. And then sadly she died. But it also, that's kind of added to this lifespan of that song. But I remember Colin Murray on the radio, and he was going on about the song, like saying, fucking hell, you've wrote a fucking beast here, like. And I was like, really? He said, I think in 20 years, maybe even longer, people are still going to be singing this song. He said that I think it's that type of song, like. But and he was right. It's true, and it's a gift from God. Do you know what I mean? I was there to receive it, and we were all there to write it and make that music together, and we were all there to receive the moment. But like, I remember getting in the cab from town. We started the song, the riff, me and Russ, and I think like the rest of the band were just playing along, not really thinking much about it. And I got in the taxi, and it's about a 20-minute drive from town, and I wrote it all in my head. The words, everything, not the verses, just since I've gone home, da 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 da. And I thought, this is fucking stupid, this. Do you know what I mean? I thought this was a stupid song, like, but I love it, do you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm going to write this when I get in. And then when I got in, I just wrote it. It was fucking done pretty quick. And I took it in the next day and played it to the band. I was like, oh, that's good, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And when they say that kind of means it's good. Mm-hmm. And it's how people say it, you know what I mean? And it's how certain people act like, oh, that's good, isn't it? And certain people go, oh, that's good. Do you know what I mean? It's like that reaction is I don't think I've ever had that type of reaction, really.
Well, that's the same sort of story as like Noel Gallagher when he talks about Live Forever. So that's your kind of Live Forever moment. Everything just comes together so quickly and so naturally.
Yeah. I think at the time it was a curse, the tune, because it was so big. It was like, what are we going to fucking do now? And at this point, you know, I'm taking more and more drugs, drinking more and more. I'm loving it. You know what I mean? And I'm not. My eyes gone off the ball big time. And, you know, the band aren't getting on particularly well. I don't really like being around them. And then we go and make the third album. And Valerie, for me personally, it's just over my head all the time. And as we're making this third album, I know none of the songs are as good as that. Or no, and when I say not as good, they're just nowhere near as good. It's not even like I like them. It's just like these are just songs that we've wrote, and now we've got to do this. And I think we took a year out, and I don't think we should have. I think we should have just kept going in and hanging around with each other. Because the problem is when bands stop hanging around with each other,
you become different people, don't you?
You become different people. You grow up, you know. And you don't have that same moment. The moment goes for whatever reason. You can't pinpoint one person or another person. The whole thing just kind of goes through. And you know, we've done
what different dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah. And we done what we done, and then we done this third album, and we've never even played any of the songs from the third album in the set. It's always been skipped to the new album and the first two albums, and even new songs that I've wrote recently or the last year or whatever. We never go back to that album, and there's a reason for that, because it was just the end. It should have been called the end of the Zutons. But we were in LA for like 3 months, and the first 2 weeks are great. You know, getting on your getting your Mexican food, smoking a bit of weed, fucking drinking some ale, and then you're like, what am I doing around here? I need to go home. I've never missed home so much. But 3 months there, I couldn't drive either at the time. If I had a license, it would have been better. Would have been well better. But I went there, my phone went off. I didn't tell the phone company, so my phone broke, just got switched off. And my bank card stopped working as well. And it was like, because it was 3 months, it was just long enough to not get a new card sent and to not have to ring the phone company.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So it was just, and it was good in a way, because it was like, well, I'm going to explore around here. I don't really need my phone. It wasn't like it is now with phones, 2008. But it was just, you know, these things happen. Just things happen, just stuff happens, and you just kind of get a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You get
at that point in 2008, when like you stopped, was there a discussion, or did it just kind of peter out?
There was a discussion, yeah, because I had we kept going for like a year or so after it, and it was just becoming obvious that no one really wanted to be there, and we were going in the room, and people were listening to Russ and Sean were listening to Bitches Brew by Miles Davis, so we were kind of jamming like that type of stuff for hours on end, and it was fun. But at the same time, it was like, we need to do some stuff. Do you know what I mean? But I wasn't really writing any songs. I was like, I wasn't inspired. Plus, I didn't really want to be around the band.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I just didn't want to be around them, the people, as sad as that is. And I didn't turn around and say that at the time, because once you've said that, well, I think I did say that at one point, but no, it was just obvious that like there was 4 of us in a room, and I weren't writing any songs. I didn't have any desire to write any songs. I don't think it's anyone's fault. Like you say, people grow, and then it all splits apart.
Like in the intervening period, like between the third album and the fourth.
Oh yeah.
There was still, I mean, you still tried some stuff. So obviously, 2008, I think when I was messaging you on Instagram right at the start of our conversation, I said about the song you done, was it Tia Gilmore that you featured on?
Oh yeah.
Which like the vocal in that, I think, is absolutely amazing. So what was that period like? Because obviously you done that, you did the co-write with Mark Ronson for the Bite song that Kyle Faulkner featured on.
Oh yeah.
And obviously, as I mentioned at the start, Christmas #1 with the Justice Collective.
So the Thea Gilmore thing, I've got to be honest, I don't think I've heard that since back then. Old Soul, is it called?
Mm-hmm.
I've never
I think
listened
it's a
to it.
brilliant song.
Oh, right,
Absolutely
okay,
phenomenal.
cool. So I don't know. I've never heard it, but sorry to say, I've never listened to it since. And that's not in a bad way. It's just, it's just not in there. Going to New York, Mark Ronson just asked me managers. Just managers got in touch and said, "Do you want to write with Mark Ronson?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I do."
'Cause I didn't realise that you had the co-write on that till maybe last year.
Oh, right, okay.
It was like a major song for me because I was heavy into the View at that time, so anything with Kyle Faulkner in it was like,
Well, in terms of the song, yeah, I think I wrote I wrote the song singy bits. I wrote the Kyle bits.
mm-hmm.
I didn't like the music so much. I wrote the chords and the lyrics and the melody. And then he got like Spank Rock and that band that he plays with, that drummer and the guitar player and Nick the bass, they're all really cool. The Dap Kings, all that gang. Or the Budos band, I think they were. They've got about 20 odd different names and they're all different bands. But like, that's it. Playing with them was an eye-opener for me because they were all a little bit younger than me by a few years at the time. And I went over there thinking that Mark Ronson had old guys, playing on this because of the way it sounded. But when I got there, they were younger than me. I was like, bloody hell. But that was a good experience, that. And yeah, I'm glad that happened. I went over twice. The first time I wrote the bike song on the spot because basically I wanted to borrow a bike off someone so I could ride over the Brooklyn Bridge or the Williamsburg Bridge and back every day because I was heavily into bike riding at the time. I just loved doing it. And, bike riding around New York is like, I've done it once before and it's an experience, everyone should have really. It's kind of like you're in a movie when you're doing it, do you know what I mean?
And the Justice Collective, how did that come about? Well, obviously we know what it was for, but how was that kind of performing with all these other singers?
Do you know what? I went down to London and Guy Chambers asked me to do it, and I didn't meet any other singers.
Was it just like one in at a time sort of thing?
Just went in the studio, sang for a bit, got off again. So I didn't meet Macha, and I didn't meet anyone else who was there on the record.
It's weird, Hinds, because you see that a lot, like kind of obviously the Band-Aid everybody was in, I think, at the same time.
Yeah, it makes it out. It makes it out like you're all in the room together, like Band-Aid, but you're not. Do you know what I mean? But it was for a good cause, and it was a number one record. The sad thing about that is the farm. It was the farm, and I think Guy Chambers, but I think it was the farm's idea to do it. And the farm done all together now, like the year after or 2 years later. And I sang on that as well, but they couldn't play it on the radio. It was just not in the system. And it was because the charity record went to number one and X Factor didn't. So when they went round, it was like, we really want to play your song, but we can't. It's not in the system. It was like a weird thing, but they were letting them in to talk about it because it's charity. So that could have went to number one as well. But you'd never know because people didn't know about it to buy it. Do you know what I mean? So that kind of shows you at that point what's going on with the music business, really. Do you know what I mean? And how that did was just blacklisted before it had even happened.
Quickly on the big decider then, working with Nile Rodgers and Ian Brody, what was it like working with the two of them? Obviously you worked with them separately, but what was it like kind of piecing the two bits together onto an album?
Well, working with Nile was good for a bit, but when we got the recordings back, and this is nothing against Nile Rodgers, I just don't think we were, as a band, were quite ready. Do you know what I mean? To go in for, like, well, not that we weren't ready. I just think he was coming from a different place than we were. We wanted a more organic roomy sounding album. Whereas what he does with his production, everything's really pristine and really like what it is. And to be honest, looking back, maybe we made a mistake because the Creeping on the Dance Floor was the song that he'd done. That was everything else that we'd done with him. We kind of re-recorded 95% of it, if not all of it. Do you know what I mean? So as good as good as it was the time with him, we never actually ended up using a lot of it. I don't know if I'm meant to tell you that, but that's just what it is. I don't think he's going to lose any sleep over it. Like, but he was a lovely fella. He was kind of like, you know, he's Nile Rodgers. He just had non-stop stories about old Miles Davis and like just loads of people that I think of the most famous people in music. He's met them. He's hung out with them. So it was good for that. But when we got home, we realised it wasn't really what we wanted. So we went in the studio for a bit with Ian, and what we done was we done 2 tracks with Ian, and then he left to go to his son's wedding. But he left us with the engineer and all the stuff set up. So we got a bulk of stuff down for the rest of the record, and then we went home, and then Sean done the rest of it in his loft. So that's kind of what the sound of that record is, really, apart from Creeping on the Dance Floor.
Right.
But I think it's better for it. And that's nothing against Nile Rodgers or Rusty Graham as the engineer. They were just coming from different places. Do you know what I mean? They work really digitally and inside the box. And we wanted more of an organic thing, really. That's the best, most honest thing I can say.
And to come back then with that record, and obviously I seen you on the Paul Heaton support and the Hydro.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I'd seen you in, 10 years easy. And just kind of seen that live on that supports tour. And I think he's announced then on stage that he's were going to tour the following year. I think, or the tickets were already on sale, because by the end of your set at the Hydro, I'd bought a ticket for the Barras.
Wow.
Because,
thank you.
Because it was, you forget just how many fucking banging songs he's had. And I thought, no, I'm back to that. So to then do the headline tour the following year, was there any trepidation going into that? Like, was there trepidation bringing out the record and thinking, are the fans still going to be here? And then what was it like once you realised there was still that appetite?
It's a good feeling, really. I think, you know, it's still going on now in my head, but like, it hasn't really sank in what we've done this year. We've done quite a lot, and we've done it with different members. I'm quite proud of that, because I didn't know if that was possible, to be totally honest. But when one member leaves, like Sean, and you think, who are we going to get in now? And then you get someone else in, like Paul, and and you do the gigs and they're good. And then some of them are great, and then they end up all, like, when you look back, all the gigs were great. It was like, it was a personal thing for me to, like, because the further and further away from the original lineup in my head, the less and less it is the Zutons. But I'm not entirely sure that's the case. Do you know what I mean? And it's just because Sean's such a great drummer. I was like, who's going to replace him? But then we got there and we done it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm thankful for that happening, really, because it was massive shoes to fill. But I think, I don't know, it hasn't really set in yet. I think Abby's doing her own stuff with Sean. Them two are doing new stuff now. And I'm going to start doing stuff myself. I'm probably going to do an acoustic tour next year at some point.
But
like
early on. That.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to go out under the name Dave Zuton as well, because I'm still going to be playing Zuton songs, do you know what I mean? But I'm going to I'll be putting new music out myself as well, because I'm writing all the time. So I'm just looking forward, really, all the time with what it is. And I wish everyone well who's ever been involved with the Zutons. I hope they do really well.
So on the
it's not a bad thing.
On like the songwriting, because obviously you're just back for Spain for last year at Casa at Kyle Falk writing camp, which obviously I think that's a fantastic thing that Kyle's doing, and I've just seen in the last couple of days that that's probably going to be the last camp at that place because he's selling up and getting a bigger place. So what was that like, having that week out there? I think I mentioned to you, I sent a comment saying about how music, sunshine and good people is just the perfect tonic. The people there, I know a lot of them, so to have them there round about you, has that helped your songwriting?
There's a lot of Scottish people there. And I kind of like that, to be honest, because, I know where to stand. But it was like, there was a guy from America, there was a girl from Mexico, girl from Spain, there was a lad from Burnley, lad from London, and I think the rest was Scottish mainly, yeah. But I think, there was a lad called Will, he was the chef, he was from Yorkshire. But there was when I went there, I was really like, I knew I had to go and do it, but I put it off for a while. And this fella, Mike, he asked me a few times, and so I just said, yeah, I'm going to do this. But I was shitting myself because it's like, right at my head, it's like, you've got to come out of there with, something to show for it. And it's like, and I have done. It's like I wrote, there was 9 one-on-one sessions, and I co-wrote 9 songs on the spot with 9 different people. And it was, there was 7 songs. 2 was just more chatting, really, and just talking to people about what it is they should do. And mainly what I was telling them was, go to some open mic nights. Because I find with a lot of people that there is, and this is anyone listening, is if you've got a lot of songs and you're playing them in the house, I know the social media, but it's good to go to play them live.
Yeah, get the live reaction rather than...
This is it.
If you put that on social media, you're just getting comments, but you don't know how genuine the comments are.
You're not in the room, are you? You're not in the room, you're not feeling it. You're not experiencing it whatsoever. And I think that was my main advice to people, really. And I kind of shocked myself by coming up with stuff on the spot, and it actually sounded good. And it got the job done, and we got the songs finished. And on the last night, we performed all the songs in this pub round the corner from it. And I got a little bit stressed out at the start, but it was sorry, my mind's shouting. But it was it was an amazing experience. And I've come back from there, and I've been writing every day since I've come back and recording on my laptop. So it done me the world of good. And I will defo go back, even if I have to go back as a punter, I'm defo going to go back to what it is, do you know what I mean? Because it was like a holiday, but a creative holiday. And it was hard work.
It's a fantastic concept. I don't think it does it justice until you get an experience.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I think once you're out there doing it, it's, when I say hard work, I mean it's hard work mentally, but at the end of the day, you always feel good, like you've actually done loads with your day. Something, do you know what I mean? So anyone who's listening and writes songs and wants a creative experience abroad in Spain, where the weather, it's like in the middle of a desert almost. It's amazing. It's a great place. I'm definitely going back.
Brilliant. So obviously, I know we're running out of time. So
okay.
Obviously, you mentioned maybe next year some solo stuff, some acoustic tours and all that.
Yeah.
So everybody that's listening, stay tuned for that. I'll post links and all that when they come up.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
But the last part of the podcast, obviously, God, Time for Heroes. I asked my guests to pick 4 heroes to come for dinner, why they're your heroes, and what would you cook for them, dead or alive, whatever industry you want. Just fire away. Who's your...
I'd have James Brown first, because
Mhm.
we played with him in 2006, and it blew me mind, like as a live performance. Some things happened in that gig that I've never ever felt at another gig. Like, there was one bit and he'd play Funky Good Time, and him and the backing singers leaned over and we're gonna take you high. And when he went like that, and literally does, he comes lean and sing, all the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. And that was a total experience. And yeah, it's like, for that reason alone, I'd cook them all. What would I do? I'd do them a roast dinner. I've never cooked a roast dinner, and I reckon I'd do a good job of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I normally cook.
it's Sunday
cook
anyway, so it seems right to have...
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, roast dinner. But who else? Gary McAllister. I'd have him, because I don't know why he's always been one of my favourite Liverpool players. Because whenever I think of Gary McAllister, I think about him smiling like this, with his long sleeve red top on, and he's just scored an amazing free kick. And like, when we first got him, everyone was like, fucking hell, Gary McAllister, he's dead hard, he's fucking finished. But when he came in, what he done with that side, because I think between him and Didi Hamann, I think Gerrard learned a lot from them two players.
Yeah, I mean, to the point where Gerrard, when he came up to Rangers, he got Gary McAllister on board. So
right, I didn't know that.
Wow. What I would say the day, just like touching on the day, if I was to pick my heroes, Stevie Gerrard would be a hero for me the day, because he's just knocked back Rangers he's knocked back going returning.
Oh, has he?
I
thought he was going to unfinished business and all that.
He's knocked him back, so fair play to him.
He'll come in with more money and he'll take the job. I would have said Stevie G, but I thought I'll go Gary McAllister because you're Scottish.
Yeah, that's a good choice. He played for Motherwell as well, which is where I'm from.
Right, okay.
Where he started that.
But no one ever I don't feel like Gary McAllister gets
enough credit, yeah.
Not enough credit, but he's in the shadows a bit. And what he done with our team on that season, that goal against Everton, the goal against Coventry, they're amazing goals. And he was like, without him, none of that treble wouldn't have happened. Basically, that Mickey Mouse treble.
Yeah, that's a good shout, man. You kind of forget about guys like that, because they get overshadowed.
Yeah. Ken Dodd, Ken Dodd I'd have in, because we got this Scousology award once, and he got up and he done stand up just at the award ceremony off his own back for like half an hour. It was meant to be 10 minutes, turned into half an hour, then 35 minutes. But anything he said that come out of his mouth was fucking hilarious. He was talking about some spider coming down from the... you know what I'm talking about? It's not funny.
It's quite surreal though, wasn't it? It's quite
man, it was like you went into his fucking world. Like, you just fucking... you went into his world and he pulled you in. You didn't even see the door. You were just in his world, and anything that come out of his mouth was the funniest thing you've ever fucking heard in your life. And then once the gig had stopped, you were back to reality then. But you just remembered that being around him, just talking gibberish, was fucking really funny, like. And I don't know how. That's another magic special power that, like James Brown, like Gary McAllister's free kicks. That's what that is. And for the last one, don't ask me why. I put Robert Palmer, because I was watching a video of him doing It Takes Every Kind of People last night, and then I watched him getting interviewed, and I just, like, I've never noticed. He was so big. He was big in the 70s. He was fucking massive in the 80s. But because I'm a dad now, and it's like I'm going back to these old records, and his records kept popping up. So I've started YouTube and a few of them, but I haven't put an album on yet. But he had Addicted to Love as well, which was just fucking obviously massive, like. But I don't know why. I just think he'd be an interesting fella to talk to because he always kept himself on. He lived in the Bahamas in the 70s. He kind of kept away from everyone, and then when he went on tour, he done his thing massively. But then he kind of went away. Do you know what I mean? So I think he'd be interesting to talk to.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And all four of the guests never been picked.
Okay, cool.
So I
That's
mean,
good.
so that's fucking stands out, man. And Ken Dodd, Gary McAllister, man, they're class with the past.
Oh, Gary McAllister as well was we played in Brazil, not the Zutons, me on my own acoustically years ago for the World Cup. And my mate was talking to him and I wasn't there. And he was talking to me mate saying, the Zutons, he said, I'm a big fan of the Zutons. And then I turned up and he got off and I was so gutted. But then at the same time, I was dead happy because he knew the Zutons. You know what I mean? He acknowledges the music. So that's
brilliant.
Yeah. What a guy. I'm going to have to shoot, mate.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Is that all right?
Thanks for taking the time. Absolute pleasure.
Nice one, man. And you too, mate. See you again, hopefully.
Cool.
See you soon, mate.
Ta-da. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Time for Heroes podcast. If you would like to get in touch, the best way is on the Facebook page, Time for Heroes podcast, or on Instagram at Time for Heroes podcast, or Twitter at Time for Heroes P1, or drop me an email at timeforheroespod@gmail.com. You'll find Time for Heroes on all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Google and Amazon. Please leave a review where you can, share with others, and more importantly, enjoy.